Scientists have debated and hypothesized just why and how sea level change is occurring as it is. With the pressure and severity increasing each year, some scientists claim that there is an unaccounted level occurring, the sea level enigma. This is where the data does not add up with warming oceans and glacier melting, and there is an extra level occurring. Just where is this all coming from? And how can it be effectively managed and dealt with? Here's Sam.
In 1953, London experienced a devastating flood. 307 people died and 24,000 homes were destroyed. The disaster resulted in 30,000 evacuations and short-term emergency help. As for the long-term impacts, there were millions of pounds worth of damage to businesses and infrastructure, and a significant decrease in employment levels. Due to the economic state of the country, London was able to rebuild within weeks. This reflects the huge difference between London and a less economically developed country's secondary impacts, where land use is fundamental for survival, with an overpopulated area full of disease, with little government aid.
The Thames Barrier is London's main flood defence. It protects 45 square miles of the capital. In its 27 years of existence, it has seen increased usage. In 1983, it was raised once every couple of years. However, in 2003, it was raised 19 times alone. With a projected sea level rise of 86 centimetres in the next 25 years, what does this mean for the future? The Thames Barrier has been said to be sufficient for up until 2030, after which further management will be required to protect the capital.
Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable countries to sea level rise, as it's low-lying, being 12 metres below sea level, and is an LEDC. The impact of sea level rise will be catastrophic for Bangladesh if there isn't sufficient river management. For instance, there will be displacement of people as environmental refugees and disruption to agriculture, which could lead to famine and disease. There is concern about how Bangladesh will respond to sea level rise, considering their financial constraints and therefore their ability to adapt.
India is an NIC, and one attempt carried out to combat sea level rise is the Narmada Dam project. The impacts of flooding are still a major problem. For instance, an Narmada flood in 2005 undermined the success of the scheme. With a projected sea level rise of 11 to 77 centimetres, this poses the question, how will India combat sea level rise in the future? It can therefore be deduced there are stark differences between countries in their approaches and ability to provide sea level management in the present and the future. The impacts of sea level rise will vary at local and global scales. These differences are due to financial constraints. London has already begun planning for the future, whereas India and Bangladesh currently have limited success in planning at present.
To conclude, researchers are still arguing the extent of sea level change and how it can be measured effectively. There is a lot of controversy on whether models used to predict sea level change are overestimated or underestimated. We've seen how different countries have dealt with the change and their effectiveness. Only time will tell just how sustainable these methods are.